All right, welcome. Another coaches meeting tonight. A couple big topics that we're going to talk about. We'll have some updates for everybody for some member stuff, event stuff, just odds and ends. And then our focus for tonight, we're going to start breaking down the evaluation one chunk at a time. So tonight we're going to take the starting out chunk, which means we'll talk about the whiteboard brief primarily and how do we kick off and start classes effectively. So that's going to be our main big goal and focus for tonight, as well as over the next month. So to kick things off, our question for the day is, if you could demo one CrossFit movement perfectly, which CrossFit movement would you want to be able to demo flawlessly?
Which could I go in there and do flawlessly now?
No, would you want to? Maybe you can do it now flawlessly, but which one would you want to be able to do flawlessly if you can't do it now? So I'll start. I would say for me, a freestanding handstand hold would be something that would be fun to kick up and just be able to hold for a long time and demo that perfectly. That would be my go-to.
I would say that, or basically any gymnastic. But like a bar muscle up, just to be able to hop up and rip one out and not worry about it would be pretty cool.
No warm up.
Yeah,
Just
just get it going.
Like a ring muscle up. I can go on, but they the calves hanging double there. My first thought was snatch, but when you instead of freestanding, I thought box.
Biggest one.
love it. Billy, how about you?
Either a muscle up or a handstand walk.
We have a very gymnastic, desirable coaching staff. We like the barbell, we like the other movements, but all right. Em, are you able to speak or in listening mode? I assume she's in listening mode. All right. So that'll be something we get to down the road when we start getting into the warming up and the specific piece demonstration, a big part of coaching. So odds and ends for tonight. First one, as it relates to Stream Fit, we want to just make sure everyone is tracking people who are signing in the class as well as.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Emily said handstand push-up, of course.
She's on.
She on text.
There we go. Check the chat. All right, I see it. Handstand
Take
push.
the chat, turd.
All right, so for Street Fit, number one, making sure everyone who's in class is signed in for class. And then number two, make sure you check yourself in as well, because for payroll services, that's how we run it. So I'll go back in and check it, but when you coach a class, just like you check in the members, check yourself in, so you get a little green check mark. So that way when we run like how many classes did you coach over the last 2 weeks, it tells us based on that. So whether you like to do it at the beginning of class, maybe like right at the top of the hour or a minute before, you kind of take a peek and look at who's there, you start checking everybody in. Maybe you're someone who wants to do it during the strength piece as you're picking the music, getting the clock set up, you just double check who's all here, make sure they all have green check marks, and then for yourself, or maybe do it after class. Whatever works for you, just make sure we get that done sometime for your classes. That's how we track attendance and pay you, so that's always important. Number two, when leaving the gym, specifically like if you coach a morning or even like afternoon or evening, just double check that like bathroom lights are off, lights up here can be off. In the back, you can leave the lights on in the gym if you'd like, but just as a heads up, like turn some of the lights off in the bathrooms or up front if you're leaving the gym as you're doing that. Next one. All right. So we had an idea for the closing coach, and we'll try it out and see how it goes for a little bit. But what we're going to do is, if you are the closing coach, if there's some equipment that the next morning's class is going to use, like boxes or rowers or something like that, we're going to work on trying to pull them out the night before to give the morning coach a little leeway the next morning. So even if you want to have the athletes from the evening class help out, say, hey, let's all just pull the rowers out, let's pull some boxes down. Those are pretty much the main two things that we might use or would be helpful to get out ahead of time. everything else, barbells, dumbbells, etc., wall balls like that will just come out the next day. But getting set up can help that morning class get off to a good start. And then, so we did have the question, what are we at now for members? So we are at 98 members right now. We'll continue to do our best with giving you updates on free trials as they come through, new members as they sign up. You guys are doing an awesome job of like taking photos of people if it's their first class or if it's like 50 or 100 or 150. And then for anyone who's a free trial, either text myself or Chelsea or both of us, or throw it in the group chat. And we'll try our best to just kind of keep up with that as we keep working and rocking and rolling through that. We've had a pretty good mix of people. Some are like brand new to CrossFit, never done before. Some have done it for a while. Some are coming to us from another gym or fitness area. So it's kind of all over the map. We're doing our best to figure out what their background is before they come to you. But as we'll talk about tonight, it's sometimes best to just treat everybody as if it's almost like their first class, and we'll work from there. Evaluations. I'll talk about evaluations over the last month.
Yeah, so we all got one in, Kristen, but that's okay. Yeah, and Kayla, you're going through the process, so that's good. But yeah, everyone was able to get them in. They went really well, based on the script that we have. I think you guys crushed it. But we want to make sure we keep that going, even if we're not evaluated. So to get into that a little bit more, we're just going to go over the brief to start and setting the tone for class, right? Because sometimes it can be a little hectic. I know those evening classes when people are coming in late, or it's just the energy's weird in the evenings, right? Like everyone's kind of coming in, and then in the morning, everyone's half asleep. So we just want to get on the same page about how to bring the group together in the best way possible, especially because we have so many people trying us out. And we want to set a good tone for when they show up and not be scared away. All right. So there's definitely a good way to do that and a not so good way to do that. So we'll just go through this. Starting out, yeah, everyone's doing a great job wearing their coach's gear, and it's clean. You guys look presentable. Thank you very much. Starting class on time. That's going really well. I mean, I think we maybe a 2-minute buffer just based on people showing up a little bit later, but it seems to be moving well. And most of the time people just jump in, right? They just kind of come in and get to work. So if someone is like egregiously late, work with them a little bit, like don't make them feel left out. Just kind of go up and talk to them on the side, make sure they know what's going on when they're going to jump in a safe way. Command the group at the whiteboard. That's the big one, right? So when the first words that come out of our mouth as we are coaching, right? Pulling everybody in. If people are talking a lot, I know it can be difficult to kind of get that attention. Some ways we can do that without being too aggressive. Turn off all the fans, turn down the music, and be in the front of the room. Once the people notice that the sound is kind of just focused in on them talking, they'll normally lead themselves out and stop talking. So that's one thing you can do without saying too much. The next thing is just be loud, but in a nice way, right? So not being like, hey, get over here. Right, just saying, good morning really loudly, or good afternoon while smiling. Pulling from the belly up, right, is a really good way to get everybody towards the room. And if that doesn't quite work, right, you got half the crowd still isn't with you, just nicely tell them, hey, we can get back to our conversation as soon as I'm done talking, okay? Just kind of let them know that this isn't like the end all be all to the socialization for the day. We still want them to have a good time, but just ask them to be quiet. We don't ever want to single anybody out and make them feel crappy about being there. Yeah, like, shut up, right? Specifically at one person isn't a great idea. Even if you have like a special relationship with that person, they might get the joke, but when you have a class of 15 people and 3 people are new, they might not get the joke, okay? So just be gentle with that, okay? We want everyone to feel welcome, and at the end of the day, they're paying us a good chunk of change to be here, and we don't want to make them be miserable during that time. Okay, the workout's gonna make them be miserable. Let's have some fun in the beginning. So that's just pulling people in.
Yeah, and so one of the things I'm curious too to hear from you all, like when you think about the tone that you like or you appreciate? We did the ideal class experience a couple of times ago. What are things that come to mind for you? Like when you're sitting there waiting to get briefed from a coach, how or what's the kind of like the tone or the vibe like you like when a coach to start a class?
Like, started like with what they said,
Mhm,
or?
yeah. And also for me personally, I like it when the coach seems excited to be there and excited about the workout. So to me, that sounds like it's different when somebody's like, hey y'all, all right, today getting into a strength piece, and then we got our metcon. Versus like, hey y'all, how's it going today? How are we feeling? We're doing good? We got a good workout today. Like I just feel better when I'm like, oh, coach actually likes the workout we're doing. And they seem excited about it, so I'm excited about it too. So that's what I like when I go to get a class brief. How about y'all? What do you like to hear, feel, think about when somebody's trying to talk you through a workout?
Like, especially when you're there early in the morning and you're half awake, like, you know, having a nice, funny question of the day, like Chelsea always has these random things that gets us talking, and it's, you know, excited.
And I will say, you've all probably been there where like, sometimes you have to fake that. Like you might be like, I don't feel good, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but like when the clock strikes, it's like, I have to bring energy even if I don't feel it right now. So like that.
I like when the coach talks strategy. I like to, like personally, I try to touch on it. I guess I should do it before the metcon, but sometimes I just do it all at once. Cause it kind of looks like your homework too. And we literally have the formula for the entire class on,
Wow.
yeah.
Similarly, I like, this, if we talk about the stimulus.
I like that. And that can look different. That could be how many rounds you're trying to get through, what it should feel like weight wise, what time zone we should be finishing things in. So that could change. So being able to know or at least be able to speak to that.
Yeah. Kind of scared right now for all of you, but
It's safe to go with like what your mom would think is fun. No?
It's not my mom.
Okay, grandma maybe, grandma would think it's funny, like the wholesome jokes, the dad jokes. That's what's safe to go with. Few dad jokes in there.
And I mean, this is personal preference too. I do like when there's like some little small talk, even if it's just like one question, like how we feeling today? How was everyone's day? Just get like a quick little thumbs up. I don't know, for some reason that like eases our way into it of also like, hey y'all, like we're about to start talking versus like, good morning. Workout for today is, and it's just like, whoa, like what just happened? Like, let me know that like we're about to have a conversation here. So I like that too, like easing
I
into it.
do like little personal conversations that occur prior to like the actual class.
And sometimes it's just as simple as like how we feeling today, or you make a comment like how our legs feeling after all those squats yesterday. You know, even something like that just gets people like, oh, like not great. It's like, yeah, we're gonna warm it up. We got a good one today, you know, whatever that might be.
No one has said that they like my anecdotes about my crazy children yet. Insulted.
All right, so I think we've kind of identified the things that we like when it comes to the starting of the workout. And you as a coach have a whole lot of responsibility there of what kind of energy you're bringing to that first go. So even if, you know, whatever's been going on in day or time, whatever, when the clock strikes and it's like, all right, it's go time, like put on that hat, let me bring some energy, be commanding, be confident, get everybody in, and then we start to get these pieces going. And so then now let's talk a little bit about what are some of the major components we want to make sure we hit in our whiteboard brief. So if we've got our command and presence of the room, we've warmed them up a little bit, we've got some energy there. What are some of the things, and we already have a few highlighted that we want to make sure we hit within that 5 minutes we have to talk about what we're getting into for the day?
Stimulus is definitely gotta be.
Stimulus has definitely got to be on there. And that can look a lot of different ways.
Your question again? I'm sorry.
So what are the components of a good whiteboard brief? So we've got bring energy,
Scales.
scales and modifications, that's big, we really wanna make sure we hit that.
Clarity.
So we like that. Talk to us about clarity, Billy.
Try to be direct and brief. And one thing that I don't do as well, I talk too much. So you start talking too much, you start confusing people. So it's better to be clear on what's go straight down it.
Yep, I like it. So I put the word brevity here because 5 minutes is not a lot of time. And we can go down the rabbit holes of 10 different scales and modifications and 5 different stimuluses and strength and metcon. Next thing you know, it's like, I don't even know what we're doing today, right? So how do we find a way to consolidate that?
Yeah, I like to say, when it gets to the Metcon, I'm like, scales, we will do a pulling scale. And we'll figure that out when we get to the Metcon, because I do know, if you start to break down all those scales, you kind of lose the point of the brief. Like, if you say too many of them, then they're like, I have to do what with what? What is the workout even? So, yeah, so again, that brevity and like reassuring them that they don't have to do exactly what's written on the board. There are other options, but I'm not gonna say all 20 of them right now. I'm gonna chat with people that.
Yeah, in my mind, and I'll try and do a better job even in the way we write the program, but even when it comes to modifiers or scales, I think giving them 2. If they have to go beyond that because of an injury or something else, like we'll figure it out, but it's like, hey, y'all, today we've got chest to bar, so our options for today are either pull-ups or jumping pull-ups. When we move on.
Mhm.
And then if they want to come at you prior to the Metcon, like, well, I want to do bandit or this or that, it's like, we can figure that out at that point in time. But at least for the whiteboard brief, we have a pretty good idea, like, okay, I'm gonna do either this or this.
Are we like very briefly and with body weight and
I personally like that, especially with a lot of our new members coming through who've never done CrossFit before, because everything on that board is a foreign language to them. So even demoing something on air of like, hey, y'all, we got front squats, just means we have that barbell in the front rack, we squat and stand. In our Metcon for today, we got wall balls, we're gonna take one of our medicine balls, squat and toss it. So I like to do that just so they're kind of like, oh, that's what we're doing, or toes to bar, we're gonna hang on the rig, we're gonna try and get our feet up to the bar as best we can. So even if you add that little bit in, I think it's helpful for our new folks to be like, that sounds like something familiar, because everything else is gonna be like, I have no idea what we're doing. So I like adding that in if possible. So even a little bit of a demo. I like it. I think it's nice if they have them there. It might cut down on some questions they've got later
I
on.
will just say like questions about how this workout like works.
Mhm.
Like, cause then if you like open it up, it's, well, what should I do instead of that? It's like,
Yeah.
why don't I really talk about that? You know, just- Or like, you understand this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't had a group in a while that I've looked at and thought they had questions. You know what I mean? Like, cause once I go over it, then they're like, oh, like you can hear them say it, but yeah, it's definitely like a read the room type of thing, like.
Yeah,
Should
but
I
I'll look out and there's like.
Yeah, and sometimes like the question wouldn't even land if they asked it, you know, like they'll
Yeah.
ask it again.
Yeah.
So like, so if we kick things off some energy, we start talking about the workout and maybe we do a little quick demo on air. As we're going through that workout, we're giving it 1 to 2 modifiers or scaling options. We're talking about the stimulus, what the goals are, which kind of ties into those modifiers because it's like, hey, our goal for today is to do sets of 2 on the rig, which means if we can't do 5 unbroken chest to bar, then maybe we start looking at doing pull-ups for today, something like that. We hit all of that, close up with questions. Anything else on the sheet that we have written down?
I would say, with the strategy and stimulus, it can really be easy to kind of blend into like that negative connotation. Just because that's an easy way to describe workouts, that's kind of how we're like built, like, oh, it's terrible. You know, or like, oh, this is hard, or oh, like, this is gonna crush your soul. Yeah, so really trying to get into more of the positive or optimistic connotations, like this is a great opportunity to work on getting to the red line and figuring out what your body will do there, you know, like things like that, so they can look towards that and not so much like, I'm going to die for the next 12 minutes.
Growth mindset.
Yeah,
growth
just,
mindset.
cause it is really easy to just fall on that, like, this is, yeah, pretty terrible, guys. And then like, sometimes it's funny to say that if you get the group for it, but the majority of them, it'll be really good to just pop in those positive. Yeah.
It's actually funny because
Options, yeah.
Training Think Tank put out they did a video of tomorrow's workout, but the one that their athletes are doing is a little different than what we're doing. They have to do dumbbell thrusters and burpee box jump overs after they do the big bind. We just have to do burpee box jump overs. But they all said they're like, it's a pretty gnarly workout. The athletes they had were doing 10 dumbbell thrusters, 5 burpee box jump overs back and forth after they did their 1K and 100 miles. We're just doing burpee box jump overs. But it's gonna be a really tough workout. So think in your head, like, what do I want to say about this? And I like what you said too, because sometimes I'll even cue athletes like, what are we doing today? Like, hey, we're gonna build strength in our shoulders by pressing a bar overhead with our push presses for today. Or we're gonna build our lungs by breathing heavy for 14 or 15 minutes or 25 minutes. It's an AMRAP like today. So sometimes it's also nice to say like, why are we doing this? Like,
I like to try, if I can, if I remember to connect it back to like what we're working on in the cycle.
right. Hey, Wednesdays are our deadlift days, so we're really growing the backside, so we're gonna work up to a heavy single.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Tomorrow's a great day to see how fast we can row and work on those big sets of wall balls under under fatigue already, because you've already rowed.
Yeah.
So if wall balls have been your nemesis, yeah. If the wall balls are your nemesis, like, let's take a chunk out of this and see what we can do.
This is something else that I feel like I've tried to do more and more of, but like giving permission to go ham or not. Like, hey y'all, if you feel great today, then like let's really try and push it. Like hold on for big sets and see how fast we can go. It's like if we're feeling really beat up from this week, then we're gonna want to think about coming down off the barbell or changing out the reps or whatever it is if our shoulders are fried. So giving people that permission too can be really nice. So it's like, oh, I don't have to like do it as written or this or that because I just don't feel that way today. So I think all of that kind of ties in. And I think the big piece here is the whiteboard sets the tone for class. So if we can bring the energy, keep the conversation trending towards, we're looking forward to it, it's fun, it's challenging, it's exciting, we're gonna build strength, we're gonna get fitter, all that good stuff, it's gonna help people have a better experience. After the workout, if you wanna, indulge them and be like, that's a tough one, right? Or like that one was really hard, or blah, blah, blah. Like, what was the hardest part? I think that's fine. But I would definitely stay away from saying like, this workout's terrible, it's brutal, it's hard in the whiteboard. So, yeah. Any other questions about whiteboard briefs? So, question for the group is, this is a lot to fit into 5 minutes. So out of these different areas on the whiteboard, what are 1 or 2 that you personally would like to focus on or work on over the next week or so when you get a chance to get in front of a group?
Personally?
Yep, just personally. So everyone can pick something different, but think for yourself. And we'll share what's the one thing that you would like to work on over the next couple weeks here. And dial that in and then essentially move on to the next one.
What's the word for lighten up? I feel a little rigid.
Humor,
I think
excitement.
that energy and excitement.
It's a new environment.
Yeah.
It's not like I know every single person and their kids here, so it's I'm like, oh, I wanna say that joke, but I don't know you. To news in class, I'm definitely not gonna say that joke.
Yeah, so it sounds like bringing some energy and
Maybe some
excitement.
more exciting.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you then?
I don't know, cause that's not like, I'm not scared to coach, but I just feel. A little rigid. Like, I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm getting that in the group, but I haven't hit. I don't think I answered your question.
Is it a more reps thing or?
Yeah, I think, and obviously but yeah, I think it's a reps thing, right?
Yeah.
And getting to know the members more, honestly, the
Yeah.
comfortability of knowing something about them other than they take this class at this time. Because that's what I really like to to do is.
Yeah. So I would say it's not like a confidence, things like that. I think it's just
Yeah.
like, all right, it's time to turn on Danielle coaching mode. So like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? If that's me being like more energetic, more
Yeah.
frenetic with the pace, whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? So play around with that. Nice. Kayla, you get to brief tomorrow. What do you want to focus on for your brief for tomorrow? What's the
Not
one thing?
necessarily on there. Oh, maybe bring the energy, like being loud. I feel like I'm quieter, so
Mhm.
if people are chatty, it's gonna be hard to get their attention.
I like it.
And just be positive about it. I will have done it, so at least hopefully I can
Yeah.
give some tips.
Yeah, and I will say, when it comes to that idea of like commanding the room, if you know you're more soft-spoken, I would highly recommend turning all the fans off. If there's a fan on and you're not sure if you can go louder than that, then turn them all off, so it's like dead quiet, and then kill the music, and that'll help immediately make you feel like you're being a lot louder. So, all right, we'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow.
For me, it's the personal story, the interaction. That's- Especially with coaching Saturdays, there's a lot of people there that I don't have interaction with, so it's like, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's.
Yeah. And this is my personal, anecdote here. I think the safest one is just like, how's your week been? How we feeling, whether it's physically about workouts or just like, how's work been this week? And it's amazing how just like asking people like, hey, how's your week been? How quickly they're like, oh, it's been a week, or like, my body's wrecked. And immediately you're like, what kind of context they're taking in, and then you can go off of that. So if it's just like a simple, how's the week been? How are we feeling today? That's always helpful. So nice.
Brevity.
What does that look like for you?
Uh, I don't know, like. what- Yeah, maybe like, I mean, because again, this is like a lot of stuff on here, but maybe not feeling like I need to cover every single little thing right now, like saying like we can talk about specific modifiers later, or specific strategies for you later, or whatever.
Yeah.
Make me kind of more general.
I like that. Billy, how about you?
I got actually 3. I don't know how to pump it down a little bit.
Oh. Good thing we got a month to work on
Yeah, it is. One, not be as mean to the morning group.
them.
Because I did yell at them
Did you?
last Friday. Yep, told them to shut the hell up because they wouldn't shut up at my brief.
They're getting rowdy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just give me 5 minutes and you can go talk all you want to, but pretty much strategy and clarity is what I want to focus on.
Nice. I would say for me, brevity as well. Like sometimes get too excited about demoing on air and strategy and stimulus and all that. All of a sudden I'm like, oh boy, I don't even know if they know what the workout is anymore. So I'm gonna try and be a little bit more concise and see how quickly we can get through everything and start getting to moving. Cause we've got 5 minutes on the high end, and I don't want that to feel like that's the norm, is like it takes me 5 minutes to brief. I'd rather have it be like 3 and like we're moving into our general warm up and going from there. So I'm gonna try and work on brevity as well.
Mine's brevity too. I get excited about it, and then I start talking about it, and then I just start like getting into it, and then I'm like, oh, you should have stopped talking like 3 sentences ago. Like this conversation will happen, it'll happen like when we get to the BetCon and stuff, but like maybe shut up because they're standing there staring at you. So yeah, I just get pumped to explain it and talk about how cool it is, and then I kind of, again, lose the narrative there, so I have to cut it down.
Yeah, and I had one more thought that just came to my mind. I know there's certain classes where it feels like the timeline can be tight, like there's, strength and metcon, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this done 5 minutes before class ends. Sort of like my get out of jail card is, if you wanna get them moving, like have them grab PVC pipes before you brief, and like basically be like, hey, I'll bring it in, have your PVC pipes. You can have them doing pass-throughs and stuff like that, and they'll still be able to listen. If you have them do anything more than that, I don't think they'd be able to listen. So if you are gonna have them move while you're briefing, just because you're like, hey, I'm running behind, I know we got something that's gonna be helpful. So You know, if you have them do some simple stuff as you're talking about the workout, I'm okay with that. As long as like it's planned and like they're still standing upright and looking at you as they're going through whatever they're going through. That can be helpful sometimes. So, yeah. Cool. So this is gonna be our focus for the next month is we're gonna continue to do evaluations. Our goal is to get one for everybody. I also would love us to get into a habit of if we're taking someone else's class, that even after class, maybe you give them like, hey, I really like that you did this, or like, hey, I think you could do this a little bit better. And you can even chat about that if you see a coach taking one of your classes, say like, hey, I'm really working on brevity, so like keep me honest, like let me know if it was too short, too long, whatever it might be. I think that's the only way that we'll continue to get better outside of just formal evaluation. So if you get a chance to take someone else's class, give them a little like, hey, I liked your warm up, I like this, I like that. It can be specific to the whiteboard brief, even better. All right, cool. The last thing is part of our notes. Christmas party. We're looking at, I actually had to change the date, sorry, but we're gonna look to go with December 14th, so it's a Saturday. We've got a really cool venue that we're looking to lock down. It's called Carolock Farms. It's actually in Willow Spring. And I guess it's technically like a wedding venue, but it's really, really cool. It's a barn, beautiful inside. It's already got like AV sound system, all that good stuff. There's an outdoor area with like a fire pit and areas to like do yard games and stuff like that. So I don't know. No, it's different than that one. This one's not super far away. It's maybe like 10 minutes from here. So got a chance.
It's a nice place.
Yeah,
It's nice. It's nice.
they've got a beautiful bar there. So we're looking to make that happen December 14th in the evening. We're currently in the process now of finding some different sponsors that'll help us out with that. So we've reached out to some of our sort of normal folks. But if you know any small businesses or anyone that might be in the interest of sponsoring an event like that, where we're going to put their name and logo on marketing materials, post about them, put stuff up at the actual event, let us know. We're always open to that as well. But that'll be a super fun event that we're really looking forward to on December 14th. And we'll do more information about that. The next social event I think we have is going to be October 21st. It's a Saturday. We're going to do a bacon and barbells. So what that basically means is we're going to cook up a whole bunch of breakfast after the 10 a.m. class. So people can hang out and we'll cook up some pancakes and bacon and eggs and all.
It's a Monday.
What's
No,
that?
sorry,
It's a Monday.
The 19th, the 19th, October 19th, yeah, October 19th. Yeah, so that'll be our next kind of social event. Just as a heads up.
We're all here.
Yeah, it's like the one weekend in October, we're all here.
Oh, yeah, that being said, if people have Saturday availabilities in October, please send them our way, Brad and I and Emily. What? And Friday night, yeah, our calendars are full. And so we would appreciate any help you guys can throw in there.
And Roland should be getting back on September 30th, and we're gonna continue to work with him. And he has potential to work Friday nights and Saturdays. That's kind of like the only 2 days he can potentially help us out, coach, but we'll continue to work with him as well to get him up to speed. Kayla is coming along. Tomorrow, she's gonna do whiteboard brief, general warm-up, and strength. Basically half the class. So if you want to come to 6:30 a.m. and make it hard on her, definitely do that. Right. Otherwise, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, feel free, reach out as always. Thank you all for coming out for tonight. Look forward to seeing how whiteboard briefs go over the next month with everybody. We got our new shirt apparel templates over here, so you can test out what the different materials are like and the sweatshirts and t-shirts, and you can see all the designs. We'll drop those coming up soon here. We're still working on long sleeves and sweatshirts for y'all, so you can.
Yeah, but try on those hoodies and those crew necks, because that's probably the ones. So. try on.
Cool. All right, y'all. We'll see you later. Bye, Bailey.
Thanks. All right, see y'all.